Well, we're back with our 6 Steps Home segment, and slightly under the weather last week. Frank Gargano, glad to see you up and about.
Thanks, Rich.
Good. You know, last week, Jerome, I think, did a real service for people because people say, well, to a realtor or this person, how much of a loan can I afford? And then they arbitrarily say, well, you make this and this and this and this. You can afford that much of a loan. Well, Jerome, as your first of the 6 steps home, actually gave us an illustration of how they determine approximately what type of a loan you can qualify for, which I thought was very, very important. Let's go into step number 2 of what happens at your workshop.
Well, we kind of segue into what this part is from what Jerome did. I always like to call this where income and lifestyle meet, so to speak. The part of the workshop we focus on here is 3 basic things: wants versus needs for the buyer, new or resale homes, and the area of town.
Okay, so let's go with the first of those 3 subtitles.
Well, the first is wants versus needs. We talk extensively about what the buyer wants in their potential home. We go down the whole list of the different wants that they might want. The want list sometimes equates to wish lists. A buyer may want a 3-bedroom home, but they might only need a 2-bedroom home based on their financial requirements, as Jerome did the week before. So there are differences between the 2, the wants versus the needs.
Okay, I have said this on the air many times over the years. On the wants part, a lot of people really don't know what they want.
Right.
As example, I want to live in Green Valley because I think the Green Valley schools are better. Mm-hmm. Okay, and yet they have eliminated 75% of some really great buys by having a preconceived notion that that's the place to live, and that shortens the options of the types of homes they really want. Do you run into that where people really don't know what they want?
We run into that a lot. That's a common problem because they have a preconceived notion as to what they want, where they want to be, and that type of thing. And we try to get them through that. There's little tips that we offer through the workshop that help them through that.
And the other thing about wants, which I've gone over with people, is people don't consider that they want to live as close to their workplace as possible, because the amount of money you can save, and that savings could be that much more on your monthly payments by living closer to where you work, with gas at $2.99 to $3.19 a gallon. Do you as an advisor ever say, well, you might want to consider that this is what you might want because it's money in your pocket?
If that's not a consideration, I definitely advise that. But believe it or not, a lot of people come and sit down with that notion in mind. They say, I want to be in this location because it gets me closer to work.
They have, let's go into the needs part. Okay, what about the needs?
Well, the needs part, in our booklet, we have a worksheet for them that, as you can see here, shows some different questions and promptings as to their housing wants or needs, the type of home that they want, 1-story, 2-story. You can scan down this list right here, the different neighborhoods, the requirements, whether they want to live, close to a certain feature or something like that. And the list goes down the line. And they take this home and they fill this out. And that gives them an idea then when they come back to meet with me, which is in one of the next steps that we'll go into, we'll have a good idea of what I need to plug into the computer to do the search for them.
That just makes the buyer a lot more knowledgeable in what they want. Okay, what's the second of the 3 subtitles?
Second of the 3 is new. We used to call it new versus resale. That was a little bit too competitive for me, so I renamed it new or resale. Buyers sometimes have a problem on deciding whether they want new or a resale home. The thing is that we say in class that neither is better, they're both different. That's all that it is. There are differences between new and resale that we go over in class. We point out some different things. We have class participation based on that. But some people just don't know, and I've got a little trick that we use when we look for houses in a buyer consultation that can get them past that. But new homes and resale homes have obviously advantages and disadvantages for both, and none is necessarily, like I said, Rich, right.
Okay, it's like being an undecided voter. You're not sure whether or not you want a resale or a new home. You as a realtor would prefer that's it, so that you can take the step A there once, and then try to match them up with either a new home or resale,
Right.
and that way they can then be undecided.
Right, exactly.
Or decided, as
exactly.
the case may be.
Right, right.
Okay.
And then the third area is area, actually.
Okay.
And in our booklet here, I'll show this to you. We've got a map here. It's an area map of the Las Vegas Valley, and it's integrated into our multiple listing map that we search by. Our search criteria on the multiple listing service cannot have anything entered into it without this criteria, and that is area. Okay. So area of town is very important. And so as a realtor, through the eyes of a realtor, I can look at this map. Let's say you and your wife say, Frank, I want a house out in the northwest. Well, as you can see by this map right here, anything northwest is north of Charleston Boulevard. And so I might put you in the area of 405, as you can see on the map, and possibly even 102. That, in the eyes of a realtor, is in the northwest. Then, along with that, I would plug in all the other parameters that you were looking for, just to see if we could get something that would fit.
Interesting. Okay, the workshops are weekly. They are free. Where and when and how can somebody take advantage of this? And the other part I want to mention that you may not have is that when you're done with your 6 Steps Home or workshop, you actually get a workshop book, and there's no charge for that, which I think is terrific. A lot of these seminars, they're saying that now you can buy the DVD. That's not the case with Frank and with Jerome. So how do they get hold of you, and when are they, and where?
Well, Rich, the workshops are held every Wednesday evening, 6:30. And they're held at 1903 South Jones. That's my real estate office. We have quite an extensive training room in there. And so we will have the classes there on a weekly basis. We do ask that folks call for a reservation. So we allow the proper number of booklets to be printed up and to have seating arrangements for them.
Good. Okay. I hope that people take advantage of what you've got to offer.